This is track one from the novel Garage Songs. The title is The Gordian Knot, and it's by Robert Rowe. Any good composer will tell you that a paradox is a Gordian knot of contradictions woven into one song that seems unsolvable and therefore false, but in reality coheres and even has a melody of truth. Was it love or anger that drove my big brother Donk? Confidence or self-disgust? Anyone can love a girl that's beautiful, Donk would say, but can you love a screwed-up person? Then he'd go and say, nothing motivates a human more than hate. A few hours later, Donk was hugging strangers at a Bim Scala Bim concert, letting drugged-out idiots pass his body above my head. The very next day, Donk goes and clotheslines the captain of the Woburn football team. After that, Donk dove across the porch and stopped Raina from pulling the wings off a Luna Green moth. Then he goes and picks a fight with Morley, grabs his hair, and thumps his head against the tar. Either way, by the time I could crawl, my big brother's being was fused to mine tighter than Bondo on a dented hood. But this isn't about Donk. It's about me, Cuba, and my 19-year love affair with myself. But I could never figure out who I wanted to be, and Abe Lincoln's hat keeps falling off my head. Sometimes I don't love myself at all. In fact, I can often be seen punching myself in the head to amuse Donk's buddies, but Donk told me to stop acting like a tool. Although Donk was a senior and I was a sophomore, I had at least 3 inches on Donk. You're getting up there, skinny boy, he'd say and punch my arm. If you ever want to dance with the devil, come on over and take a few swings. Donk began weaving and bobbing, thinking he was Hagler. Then he ducked and reached for my ankles. Too slow, I shifted left. Please, Donk sniffed his fingers. If this were real, I'd snap you in half. Donk was right. My big brother didn't give 2 tin tits about his body. Plus, he had more manic juice than a squirrel. Sometimes when Donk was at his desk, reading his humongous red dictionary, it looked like Donk might self-levitate. And if he thought someone was a snob, after a few half-talls, Donk would bull-rush the kid and smush his face in the grass. I admit, it wasn't very nice of my big brother, but you've got to admit, some dickheads deserve it. But forget about Donk. I'm the kid who lost a sneaker running across the half-inch ice on Granny Pond. At Coos Canyon, I climbed 50 feet up the tallest cliff and jumped in. But Donk shinnied up a pine tree another 30 feet, swayed back and forth, then arced into the river. He wasn't bad at ballet either, pavement ballet. Let's face it, those Ivy League suckbags on the Charles with their skinny canoes, they couldn't shadowbox their way out of a closet. But those Woburn football-playing, dungaree-wearing, anabolic-injecting, bench-pressing, bee-pollen-popping punks, they're a bunch of Lulus. More than once, my big brother came to breakfast with an eggplant glued to his eye. Sometimes you bite the bear, sometimes the bear bites you, he'd say and drop his fork when Dad walked in the kitchen. But screw him. I'm the one I want to talk about. Sure, Donk can play Alvin Lee's second solo on I'd Love to Change the World, note for note, and half juice too. But without my garage songs, who would know? In one night, I ripped off more street signs, speed limits, stop signs, yields, Lee Ford, First Trust, where I had to hang and swing, IGA, Arcadia Auction, than Donk ripped off in 4 years at Merriam Hill High. But when Chief Swan's cruiser pulled into our driveway and he bluffed saying he had witnesses, I sang like a rock dove. Donk didn't. Moth rescues mixed with fistfights, brass balls big as grapefruits, fused with self-disgust, 30-second keg stands followed by all-night dictionary readathons. Why did Donk weave such a Gordian knot? Once, after a Patriots' Day parade, with maple leaves and oak leaves unfolding in their branches, I pushed through the screen door, walked into our den, and asked Dad what he knew about Donk. Dad looked up from the sports page. Let's see. Donnie hated eggs. He looked a little bit like Babe Ruth. Once he stayed in bed for 4 days when we cut down that sick elm in the backyard. That's all I know. On Route 10 in Hanover, New Hampshire, I steer my Chevelle with Bondo in all 4 quarter panels to Pushkoff's frat house. Inside Delta Upsilon, Pushkoff twists open a cold soldier and drops a fistful of photos on a glass table. I down my soldier and shuffle through the images like cards. In my coat, I carry a wad of used envelopes. Sometimes I scribble on them.